Lumiose City is a place full of secrets, but it's also a very dangerous one. By day, Pokémon hit you in the street and people jump off rooftops. By night, its residents swarm out to beat up defenseless people. But don't worry, in this video I'll tell you every Easter egg and secret to survive in this hellish urban paradise. Here you have 25 secrets in Pokémon Legends ZA. In Pokémon Legends ZA, you can choose Chikorita, Totodile, or Tepig as your starter. Pancham steals your bag right as the adventure begins. And if, when it's time to pick your starter Pokémon, you walk towards Pancham, they tell you not to be a thief and that Pancham is not yours. Nice try. If you turn on photo mode and have one of your Pokémon out, you can play music to trigger different animations, play relaxing music so they take a nap, battle music to make them aggressive, or upbeat music so they do a little dance. It also works with humans. Look at Mabel's angry face. In the game salons, you can pick different hairstyles and hair colors to customize the protagonist of Pokémon Legends ZA, but these colors are not random. Look closely, and you'll see some colors match mainline version names such as Scarlet or Violet. Some Mega Evolved Pokémon have odd forms, but each has a curious explanation. A few examples: Mega Starmie has a humanoid shape and aims to pass as a human to supplant humanity. Mega Halucha sports a look that references wrestler Rey Mysterio with a very similar mask and an aerial fighting style. Mega Electros alternates between plus and minus symbols on its arms as a representation of alternating current. Pyroar has the kanji for fire hidden in its mane, while Mega Pyroar hides the kanji for blaze or conflagration. Mega Malamar has its brain exposed and uses its tentacles to stimulate it. Japan, stimulation and tentacles? What could go wrong? Obviously, Lumiose City is inspired by Paris. It takes cues from the French capital, with the Eiffel Tower as the emblematic building and a radial street layout. Paris is also known as the City of Lights, hence the name Lumiose. This place has a vast underground network of catacombs, a necropolis, a huge 18th century cemetery. In the game, it's represented as the sewers, with a maze-like design and a similar vibe, though without those skull-lined walls. Oh, and before the launch of Pokémon Legends ZA, the Pokémon Company invited us to play it at the actual Eiffel Tower, closing off an entire section of the first floor just for us. Ooh la la! Next level! Every Pokémon game has an NPC who drops a very classic line. We mean the guy who is wildly passionate about science and has appeared in every past mainline title. In Pokémon Legends ZA, you can find him in front of Mabel's lab, delivering one of his classic lines. The power of science is amazing! Look down at Lumiose's streets and you may spot a neat detail. Each district has themed manhole covers featuring classic Kalos Pokémon like Pyroar, Greninja, or Gogoat. These designs are inspired by the real Pokémon manholes in Japan, known as Pokélids, like Tyrant near the Natural History Museum in Tokyo, or Pikachu at the Nintendo Museum in Kyoto. The other standard covers around the city are designed like a Pokéball. Once you reach Lumiose City, you can leave whenever you want. If you return to the station, you can take a train back to where you arrived. And if after several prompts you decide to bail and leave everything behind, the game ends and the city is destroyed. Just kidding. What really happens is that the protagonist falls asleep on a bench, as if everything had just been a bad dream. On your birthday, if you visit a Pokémon Center, you can get a special celebration. Once again, Pokémon brings the spirits of deceased children into side missions and Easter eggs. Following the Elevator Girl in Pokémon X and Y and the 107 Wisp with the Ghost Girl in Pokémon Legends Arceus, now there's a mission where a boy asks you to find his sister, who was led into the sewers by a Litwick to drain her soul. Special mention to Litwick's jump scare. In the Mega Victory Bell reveal video, around the 1 minute mark, a ghostly figure appears through a window. Congrats! You found the dead girl of Pokémon Legends ZA. At one point in the story, Corbeau and the Rust Syndicate form a marvelous human ladder so you can climb a building. Once you're up there, if instead of continuing you jump off and land next to the team again, they scold you for making them repeat the human ladder stunt. Lumiose City is full of Go-Goat. These grass-type goats once filled the streets and served as mounts in Pokémon X and Y thanks to the Go-Goat shuttle. Over time, Pokémon stopped being used as transport in favor of taxis that do not move. In any case, someone in Lumiose City is searching for a giant alpha Go-Goat to serve as easy transportation. This nods to how you could ride them in X and Y. In early builds of Pokémon Legends ZA, Go-Goat was the main mount for moving around Lumiose City. If you look at the whiteboards where Team Flare scientists took notes, you might recognize something familiar. Sketches depict the type icons used in Pokémon Red, Blue, and Green. A classic image Pokémon fans will never forget. You can also hear the classic sounds when opening the in-game PC. Lumiose City's museum hides tons of details and references to other Pokémon games and to the real world. The Diancie painting is a reimagining of Girl with a Pearl Earring, matching the pose and style for the Jewel Pokémon. It also references other famous paintings, such as Lady with a Unicorn by Raphael Sanzio, Woman with a Parasol by Claude Monet, and Madame Charpentier and Her Children by Renoir. The real highlight is on the second floor. This Haisu exhibit displays the outfits of the Pokémon Legends Arceus protagonist and the antagonist Volo. The craftable Pokeballs have their own display stand, along with recreations of homes from Jubilife Village. Inside a rental apartment in Lumiose City, where the protagonist completes a mission to scare off some Gengar, there's a portrait of Professor Laventon, who introduces you to the Haisu region in Pokémon Legends Arceus. If you check the magazines found in places like Pokémon Centers, you can see images of familiar locations, such as the Galar Meadows from Sword and Shield, Paldea's Academy, or the Sinnoh Mountains from Diamond and Pearl. In fact, there are plenty of Galar references throughout Pokémon Legends ZA, with related characters or Galar forms like the Galarian Slowpoke. At the start of the game, if you zoom in on the protagonist Rotom phone, you'll discover that it's displaying photos of Urbane Pokémon Center in Lumiose City, and pictures of the famous streamer Kanari. And speaking of Kanari, the posters hanging in her room show her as a child with her grandfather, and even imitating some Vocaloid artwork. Naturally, some characters born in Pokémon X and Y return. Lysandra comes back 5 years older, though he looks like 30 years and a truck have run him over after losing his memory following the kidnapping of a 3-meter-tall man and trying to wipe out half of all living beings. As a nod, he still has his signature Gyarados, which Mega evolves in one of his battles. Lysandra Cafe, once Team Flare's hideout, is also in the game, with the same teleporters as in the Nintendo 3DS title. Here you can visit the prison where AZ was held, also seen in Pokémon X and Y. There are some Mega Evolutions that break Pokemon's own rules. The most obvious one is that only fully evolved Pokemon can Mega Evolve, but Floette breaks this rule by having its own Mega Evolution. All Pokemon need a Mega Stone to Mega Evolve, except Rayquaza, a Pokemon that isn't in the base game of Pokémon Legends ZA and that Mega Evolves by learning Draco Ascent. In addition, Mega Evolution itself breaks each Pokemon's gender rule. The physical traits of both genders are unified, setting aside their visual differences. The museum's second floor has more to say. According to one person there, Volo personally donated his own outfit to the museum, which is absurd given Pokémon Legends Arceus happens hundreds of years earlier. Volo returned to the present just like Ingo, who only traveled to the past to teach people in Jubilife Village how to battle with Pokémon and then vanished without a trace. He's assumed to be another time traveler, though nothing more was heard about the protagonist, so it's likely they were trapped in the Haisu era forever. Emma first appeared in Pokémon X and Y, where she became head of the Looker Bureau. Looker is an agent of the International Police in Pokémon, and in Emma's office you can find a painting of him in his anime version. There is also a portrait of Xerosic, one of the members of Team Flare who gave his Malamar and Crobat to Emma. In the battle against Emma in Pokémon Legends ZA, her main Mega is Malamar, but in the key art for this entry, Emma appears with a Mega Lucario, a scene that never actually happens in the final game. Mabel is another character back from the past, specifically from Pokémon X and Y, once an agent of Team Flare. After years of rehabilitation and blackmail to keep her quiet while she continues her research, she helps the Pokémon Legends ZA protagonist. She's not a Pokémon professor per se, but she fills that role, even having a portrait in her office of Professor Sycamore. The Pokémon Legends ZA logo foreshadowed what would happen in Lumiose City. The A symbolizes Prism Tower as the final enemy to topple, while the Z represents Zygarde's finishing strike to destroy it. After you finish the game, the title screen shifts from dark to light, with Prism Tower gleaming in rainbow colors against a clean, bright background. Zygarde is much more than the extra Pokémon from Pokémon X and Y. According to Lysandra, Zygarde cells spread to other regions, causing different anomalies. One of them is the Z moves from Alola, which take their name from Zygarde itself. When Mega Zygarde uses its cannon to save Lumiose City, the three letters flash quickly: X, Y, and Z, representing Xerneas, Yveltal, and Zygarde. If you start a promotion battle in the ZA Royale, your next opponent's name often begins with the letter of that rank. At rank Z, there's Zach. At Y, Yvonne. At X, Zavi. Many characters follow this. It's not a 100% rule, but they tried to make it fit. A very special Pokémon makes a star appearance when it's needed most. The Lucario that AZ lends the protagonist to fight Mega Absol for the first time is also the Lucario he gives you after the main story, left in your hotel room. He says it belonged to a trainer friend. Check its trainer ID, and you'll see it's Karina, the Shaolor City gym leader you face in Pokémon X and Y, who specializes in fighting-type Pokémon and whose grandfather is Gherkin, the Mega Evolution Guru. More Galar references, this time to one of its most beloved figures. Leon, Hop's brother and champion of the Galar Pokemon League, passed through Lumiose City very recently and left just as quickly. So says Jacintha, bragging about inviting famous people in the Pokemon world to her tournament. AZ is one of the series' deepest characters. It's rumored he's based on the legend of the Wandering Jew, who mistreated Jesus and was condemned to a miserable eternal life. AZ revived Floette after it died in the Kalos War, but at the cost of other Pokemon. This condemned him to eternal life and to Floette abandoning him for it, with full redemption in Pokémon Legends ZA and the chance to be free at last from his curse after saving Lumiose City. Keep exploring Nintendo's secrets in the videos we've left here, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next. Thanks for watching, see you next time!